Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, huge thank you to Mr. Yogesh Agiwal ji for facilitating this session. In fact, I've personally benefited a lot after attending this. And recently, I hosted him for 325th milestone episode. Okay, probably you guys can think about which episode you were part of TGV and just get nostalgic. And just to commemorate this occasion, he said, okay, I'm going to give you a written gift kind of thing. That is why we are all here. So that is what I'm treating it as a written gift from Yogesh, because the kind of experience that you are going to undergo in the next 2.5 hours, you will remember it forever. Okay, that's the thing which I can proudly tell, because having attended advanced leadership development session, which was facilitated by Yogesh and team, was really, really amazing. And I thought it is an excellent opportunity for TGV speakers also, because this is one of our ways of giving back, because you guys have made the platform so huge, right? And we are going to make it to global top 1% very shortly. So likewise, exciting times are ahead. And I thought it would be a good idea to have a quick catch up as well, because it's been very long time that I did not facilitate a session where all the speakers got an opportunity. We extended this, and first time we have about 10 to 12 people joining, but we will do it more frequently. On that note, again, hearty welcome to you all to this wonderful session, and also thank you once again for being part of the Guiding Voice journey. And the Guiding Voice wouldn't have reached here without your support. I can tell you, okay, without you guys, probably would have not been here for sure. Thank you once again. And thank you, Yogesh, for volunteering and giving this excellent written gift.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah, this is so helpful. So thank you, Naveen. As always, you bring in super energy, super contribution to the society. Since we are meeting for the first time, a brief about me. So I'm not a trainer or a facilitator from the beginnings. I'm a computer engineer by qualification. Worked for a very long time in Wipro. So I was there for close to 15 years. And before that, I was in US for 10 years, Singapore for 2 years, UK for a year. And when I was in Wipro, I got the award from Azim Premji. This award is called as the Best People Manager Award. So it was given to only 20 people out of 3,000 that year. And it was a big affair that you got a chance to have dinner with Premji. And after that, the HR said that all these 20 have to go and teach people what is best people management. So we never thought that we never thought that we are doing something formal. It was like just general style of leadership. So I put some 20 points and 90 minutes I spoke in one of the leadership programs. So the trainer's feedback went up. So he said, can you come next week again for another session? So I went again. And the trainer told another trainer that, when Yogesh comes, the feedback goes up. So then I said, the trainer started inviting me. If Thursday at 4:30 to 6, I blocked my calendar. And Wipro being such a large organization, you would have one or the other program going every Thursday. And I don't know how many of you are in sales, business reviews, you get butchered for your numbers. And here people are clapping. So I thought it's a nice break once in a week to get motivated where people in the same 90 minutes, same 20 points running for like 2 years. And then I got the award from Premji again, which nobody had got twice. So then my video was shot and it was put in all the conference room. So it was like full drama about my profile. And when I used to go to canteen, people would try to like a celebrity meeting and all that. Yeah. So then the HR had said that I think this is one guy who kind of is very consistent in helping, like the way Naveen is doing. And they started taking me to their offsites, and they would say that what kind of programs we should bring in, what kind of changes we should bring in. So, and when I used to be there, that I started facilitating the session without knowing that I am actually a natural facilitator. So I started being with a trainer for running a case study, running a video. And then in 2009, our head of HR said that, I have seen you for 6 years. Why don't you move this side full time? And that is what my journey started formally. And I had like 22 trainers, out of them 7 were clinical psychologists. Can you imagine what kind of conversation you can have? I had no academic background of psychology. So then I started getting certified on Dale Carnegie, Franklin Covey, Vital Smarts, You name the international brand in India, I got certified. Just not to really get certification for any fame, but to really know how does human mind works, how does psychology play in business. And I mean, I was surprised to see the amount of benefit one can get if you were to really look at all that and bring it into business. And my natural ability to understand human being and this formal education help to run a lot of programs. And one of these programs that I'm running today for you is emotional intelligence. I feel is a foundation program. So wherever we do like Naveen, for example, attended the first program in as the first module, and that's how we'll run today. In a way, it's a slow program, meaning because each one of you have got different lives, different parents, different experiences, and how do you process that is the question. So for the same response, how do I process? Where does the thinking come from? If I get irritated, where does the irritation come from? Yeah, if I get motivated, where does the motivation come from? So there is a combination of psychology and physiology. Physiology matlab my brain, chemicals, prefrontal cortex, uh, limbic system. These are physical part of our brain, which is correlated to the way we think. So if I think positive, there is a different chemical. If I think negative, there is a different chemical. So if I tell you about all that, then it is in your hand which chemical to generate. Yeah, and a lot of our diseases, come from our thinking. So we will look at, and slowly you will also observe. Like if you meet Naveen, you suddenly get energized. Why does it happen? There is something called mirror neurons, which means, and like we go to somebody's place and we feel, yeah, chalo फटाफट निकलते हैं. You don't feel like staying there too long. But you go to somebody's place, the place may not be very fancy, but you like sitting in their place for a longer time. Why does it happen? Because of mirror neurons. The way they think, your brain can actually capture. And and we are not going to get into why do they think that way. But I'm saying there is a relation. So if you're a manager, if you're a spouse, if you're a father, all this what you will learn today can be very beautifully applied in any role that you play. You're a professor, you're a teacher, you're a sister, brother, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So that's how it is. So I will get started. I've also sent you a participant workbook in the chat now. So if you all can quickly download that, and I will, I would like to use that in the workshop today, so that it becomes very handy for you to, use it in the next, 30 days, where we'll also provide you a mentoring support. So we will have, Rajula or Jaya, one of the people who will essentially be a mentor to you, to, guide you on the post. You can ask them any questions you may have. And I can almost guarantee you that everything that you learn is practical. It is not Gyanbaji, which means you can tell me after 2 weeks that what you share doesn't work for me. In Belgaum, this is not working for me. Yeah, so we can actually bring in for you, and how does that work? Yeah, and it is just that our perspective to look at that, and we can, in adult learning, we don't force you anything, but we'll give you nice perspective that will help you to do that. Yeah. So before we just quickly jump in, just 1 minute introduction, if you all can give, so your name, like how many years you've been working, just to get your seniority, and which organization, what role. If you can just take less than a minute to introduce, and then we can get started. Yeah, because the first exercise itself is going to be an introspection exercise. But before that, if you can introduce, so anybody can go first, and
I would like to go first.
please. And
Hi,
yeah.
yeah, you please.
No, what I was saying is that, say, if Amir was there in the classroom, we would have, clapped for Amir. So this is like the virtual clapping. So you can try this. Yeah. So what Naveen showed is also a good way to clap. But what happens with that is that, assuming that we clap together like this, it will be unrhythmic. By the time Naveen finishes and Priya starts. So what we do is we say, don't unmute, just do like this. Yeah. So it's very nice. And if you are sitting at home, tell your family in the break that there is no problem with Naveen's program. This is just a simple program on AI. They'll think, "Hey, kya sikha?" yeah, Amir, please.
So first of
And we
all,
have Shivani, sorry, we have
yeah,
Shivani
yeah,
and Sandeep as well. Sandeep and Shivani, welcome. Is that Shivani Rawat or Shivani Madan Bose?
Shivani, I think if you can turn on your camera, I think we have Sandeep also joining us.
Yeah, Sandeep. Sandeep is the author of Renewalism.
Okay.
Again, he's also one more eminent speakers on TGV. Yeah. Hi, Sandeep. Nice to meet you after long.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I have to keep my camera off because I'm in Mexico and it's in the middle of the night right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Really happy to be with this community. Thank you for inviting me and looking forward to the session today.
Sure. Sir. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I think Amir, please go ahead.
yeah. So first of all, thank you, Naveen and Yogesh, to introducing us new clapping style
Yes.
session. So, good morning, everyone. Those who are in India and the people who are in the different time zones. So, my name is Amir Reyes, and currently I'm working with the Bold Mixed Stop. I'm the colleague of the Naveen, and I'm working in the role of senior project manager.
Right.
I'm having more than 7 years of diverse experience in working with an e-commerce and different government agencies also. So, thanks a lot thanks a lot, Yogesh, for and Naveen for introducing us this session to bringing this platform to us, introducing this platform to us. It's helpful to every one of us. So that's all.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amir. Absolutely. Yeah, let's go next. Yeah. Anybody? Quick. Yeah, Jaya, please.
Hi, this is Jaya Natarajan. I am based out of Bangalore and I have a lot of, currently I'm not working, but I have 20 plus years of experience. I was working in my last organization was Intuit India. It's basically a software company. And I have been in the roles of admin and EA and completely logistics and everything. So I have a lot of experience in terms of people management. Basically, it's more of interacting with people. So I really love that part of my job wherein I have to engage people and organizing things and stuff like that. So that's a gist of me. So
Right.
I am a yoga practitioner. I'm a dancer. So that's
Sure,
it.
sure. Thank you so much, Jaya. Yeah. So as we go along in the journey, one of the things that we will also want. So I'm going to ask you for some promises in today's session.
Mhm.
And the first promise is that how many of you exercise at least thrice in a week?
I do all 7 days.
All 7 days. But I come from a business background, operations background. So I'm so very logical about asking people that I know that they'll be so caught up with work that they won't do every day. But those who have not raised their hands, I want your first promise that to begin with, you will start exercising 3 times in a week at least. And the reason I'll tell you, what happens is that, see, whenever there is an escalation or there is a stress at home, what happens is that your body secretes certain chemical like cortisol to deal with that. And when you exercise, the body secretes one of the 4 chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin and serotonin. So if you have more of happiness chemicals that get secreted after exercise, your cortisol get negated, which means that you will have to essentially, if you do thrice, then whatever stress you built on Monday can be negated on Tuesday, and why like that. If you don't, then it continues to build up inside. Yeah. And you should, after the session, go to Amazon and look at the Skechers shoes, Nike walking gear, some exercise equipment. So at least about 20,000 rupees worth of material you should buy today. And don't discuss with anybody at home. Just go and buy. Because if you discuss, then they will say you bought this cycle 4 years ago, but you never used it. They will start discouraging you. Don't listen to anybody. Yeah, the GDP of India should go up today after 2 o'clock. So 20,000 rupees by, yeah, good, very nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we can go next quickly. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody, quick. I think we have
I'll speak. This is
yeah,
Abhilash.
Abhilash, please.
So I'm an HCM analyst currently, and I've around 6 years of experience now. I worked in Accenture for 5 years, and then I've moved to Diebold Nixdorf now, and it's
Sure.
almost 1 year now.
Sure.
And I like to track. I'm currently in Belgium. I'll be moving to Bangalore in a few months.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about me.
Sure. No problem. Good, Abhilash. Thank you so much. Quickly, I think Nanna, you want to go next? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Yogesh. So my name is Nanhe Verma. Right now, I'm working with Diebold Nixdorf as a senior project manager. I have total 16 years of experience. Before Diebold, I have worked with Datamatics, Reliance,
Okay.
First Source, likewise companies. So thank you
Okay.
so much, Yogesh and Naveen and everyone.
Sure. Yeah, let's go. Srinivasan, you can go next if you like. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Yogesh. People call me PS. I'm P.
Yes,
Srinivasan.
okay.
I'm basically running a small company into training and consulting. I have about 25 years of industry experience and another 15 years of teaching. So I'm about 4 decades.
Okay, very nice. Can we clap for PS also? Yeah, very nice. Super. Yeah. Thank you. So Priya, if you want to go next, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go next. I have been, I'm Nagapriya. from Chennai, and I've been with the industry, IT industry, for the last about like 15, 16 years. And I took a break and I involved myself with a lot of art, calling for myself, like pottery, dancing, painting, doodling, and a lot other stuff. And I was also doing a lot of side gigs or the work that came my way that was work from home and not a regular jobs. In all this while, I recognized that I was also searching for something, and my search never stopped. And during this COVID and all, it was getting intensified and all. Then I joined a course from Nibbana Institute, which is supported by Madras School of Social Works, called which is a degree in PG diploma in integrated counseling course, where I was introduced to myself through many models of transaction analysis, CBT, and EFT, and many other techniques. So that was a great vacation or great gift that I gave to myself, is what I understood later. And still, that has been about a couple of years now, and I still have a lot of peelings to do and healings to do for myself, and wherein I'm realizing so much of myself. And I'm also taking in clients for counseling and helping them as much as possible, whatever I can for them. And I'm also pursuing my MSc psychology degree because I realized bachelor's of engineering was of no use. So I am like doing my MSc psychology from Madras University now.
Lovely, very inspiring, Priya. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you all. God bless. Thank you.
Yeah, Sandeep, you want to go because you are late in the night at Mexico. So.
Well, thank you. Well, as Naveen said, I'm the founder of a movement called Renewalism, which is about renewing human consciousness through small changes in individual habits.
Right.
And this comes from a background of more than 30 years in corporate. After about 15, I realized that we're doing something wrong. We're creating more problems for the world than we're solving. And renewal is about tapping into ancient Oriental wisdom, able to trust this process and increase the level of which we operate.
Right.
So that's about me. I'm an author, speaker, and coach.
Okay, very nice.
And like you said, currently joining you from Mexico. Thank you.
Yes. Sandeep, I don't know if we met in Sheraton Hotel long time back with Amit, I guess. Just for a brief, I recall your name, but we'll talk about it.
So that's why you're familiar.
Yes, yes. So I
Yes.
think Amit and we were meeting and you came in from Delhi at that day. I think so. And then we
It
just
was such one.
we just were introduced for 5 minutes, if I remember. Yeah. Okay, no, great, great, Sandeep, having you. I think you're already a big champion.
You
So
have
you
a
will be
terrific
able,
memory. Thank you, sir.
yeah, you will relate to a lot of things that we are going to do today, and feel free to contribute whenever you think. Yeah. Yeah, Mike, please.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everybody. Good morning. My name is Mayank Mishra. I'm part of a software company, Nutanix, working as a technical sales.
Okay.
I joined this sales org 3.5 years ago. I was part of post sales primarily earlier for 15 plus years. Um, that's a professional side of it. On the personal, I do running. Still, I call myself as amateur running, but I do running, long running.
Very nice. Very nice.
I just came from the gym, so that's why I was not ready to be on video. But
No problem. Fantastic. Super. So we want to create a WhatsApp group for 30 days, a temporary group. So maybe you can inspire people and post your running videos so that people can also start exercising. It's just matter of starting off. And once you start off, I think it continues. And a very important element of our routine, I think. All of you have to exercise. Yeah.
Yep.
And so Aarti, next you can.
Hi everyone, my name is Aarti. So I've done my master's in counseling psychology and I have worked in KIMS Hospital, Asha Hospital, Chetna Hospital and also Institute of Mental Health, Eragada. And then I worked as a school counselor in Geetanjali School. And then recently I worked in Amazon as well. That's all.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Aarti. Welcome. Yeah, good. So I think we can get started. I think we all have introduced. So let me quickly ask you to, do our a big brief introduction before I, ask you to do a small reflection. So if you really look at emotional intelligence, where it became popular was in way back in 1995, 96. Daniel Goleman wanted to do a research on the students in Harvard who were actually giving a lot of money back to the college, and he wanted to see that what has been the academic score of those people. Yeah, so when he saw that, a lot of those people were, I think, average in academics. Some of them were not even fully getting passing marks, but they were immensely successful in their real life. And then Daniel Goleman said that let me go and see the people who are possibly great in academics and how are they doing, and he saw that a lot of those people were not so great in their real life, and even if they were great, they were not giving back to the college. That led Daniel Goleman to really see that, what could be the difference. And he saw that the people who were really good in their life and not so good were actually be able to manage the setbacks well. They were able to motivate themselves. They were able to inspire people around them. And that is where Daniel Goleman saw the power of emotional intelligence, the way they were managing their emotions. And that year also he wrote this book called Emotional Intelligence, which became very popular. One of the most popular book, most translated book in various languages. And that book really made popular in the corporate world today. And as I was saying in the beginning, that today almost every company you go and look at their competency dictionary, you can start seeing that there is so much of importance given to emotional intelligence. So, what we have done in my experience of last several years, I read and experienced people other than Daniel Goleman. So, Richard Boytis, Annie McKay, John Mayer. So I read all of these people's work, and in a way, I crafted a program which is very easy to, kind of follow through in this. So I'm not going to go so much in the vocabulary of EI, but I'm going to give you some practical ways of how you could actually look at yourself, build your self-awareness, and manage yourself. Yeah, so that's how it is. So we'll begin with a small exercise, and I'm going to give you these 4 questions. The best thing about me. my major area of improvement. I really feel good about myself when, and I feel really low about life when. So these are the 4 questions. Answer this without much of thinking. Whatever comes to your mind, you should answer. And also, when you're writing about your areas of improvement, be very very open about it, because we are a very small known group. So we'll keep this quite confidential, so nobody outside the group would actually be known. We will create a safe environment for people to share. The more complicated things that you bring in, that you're dealing with, the better you will and the more advantages you will get from the session. So try to be as candid and as frank about the answers. I'll give you about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we will have like 2 or 3 people share, because we are doing this only in a half-day format. So I won't have time to go through everybody's responses, but I'll do for like 2 or 3, and that is where I will start processing, start bringing in the concepts that you essentially can start relating to AI. Yeah. So there's 4 questions, 5 minutes to answer them. And this is there in the workbook. So if you can open the workbook also, or you can write it on a notepad, like the way Jaya is doing, you can do whichever way. If you want to write in the workbook, it's good, or you can write it in a notepad.
What is the last question?
I feel really low about life. And so what are the days when you feel, or what are the situation when you feel low, so like last time, one of the participants said that, when somebody breaks my trust, I feel low about life. Or somebody speaks about me on my back, I feel low. So whatever. And if you're someone who have not felt low, generally, it's also okay. It's not that compulsory you should feel low. But I think human beings are a combination of both joy and sorrow together. So you should feel that.
Yeah, I filled the sheet in the workbook actually.
Sure. And you can just put me,
I mean, you're saying send it to you?
yeah. So we can, maybe if you're ready, Mayank, we can have you, if you want to go ahead and share. Yeah.
I probably can share the screen. Will that be okay?
Yeah, or you can just speak, no problem. You can speak also, no problem. Yes, Mayank, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I find it very much comforting for myself, able to accept as it is that yes, maybe I like this way, but I define myself as a curious one.
Okay.
Everything in terms of I prefer understanding of science. As you said initially, the psychology. I was thinking first minute that yeah, this is kind of my interest area to
Right.
find people very curious, right? And talking to them is a great idea.
Right.
I'm adaptable. I have seen for a few years now. Earlier, I like only sticking to what is comforting to me, but now for a few years now, I'm getting into better state of mind where I'm willing to accept change, take a risk slightly.
Right.
So bad. I'm okay to take that risk.
Sure. Very nice.
The improvement area is quite bad on this part is the time management. However, you define it in a case that not to give an example, it's almost scattered across the full day.
Yes.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Not happy about it.
Sure.
It's the things which should have been being into a safe. You are supposed to do.
So, Mayank, in the session, my second promise from all of you would be that there is a very interesting phrase called all readers may not be leaders, but all leaders are always readers. Yeah, the second promise is about reading books, and Naveen knows that from 2017 that you have to read books. So, two books, Mayank, that I'm going to recommend you should read on the time management is Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. And second is Purpose by Rory Vaden, Roryvaden. Very beautiful book you should read. And there is a Vaden. Yeah. And the second is Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Yeah, that is so Deep Work and Atomic Habit. I have read
Very nice.
I improved quite on that actually.
Very nice. So if you read Procrastinate along with Deep Work, you will really get a lot of answers together.
Really. Deep Work is quite good. I was surprised to see these kind of things are available, which I could have done, but it is not.
Yes. Very nice. So this is my second promise. So again, when you after you finish buying the sneaker shoes and Nike gear and the exercise equipment, buy those books also immediately on Amazon. Don't discuss with anybody.
So I have my running gear for last so many years.
Please. Yeah. The others. Yeah. So good. Very nice. Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Yeah, I know that. I have that book with me.
Very nice. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
This is, I think, very common. I know that the chemical how it works. So at least on the running part, because the moment I run, I do my activities. I know I'm doing better. I feel comfortable here in my mind.
Yeah. Very nice. So, Mayank, I'm going to share with all of you. There is 4 chemicals called DOSC. If you want to, also write down. So D is for dopamine. So DOSC is D for dopamine. O for oxytocin. Yeah. So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. Yeah. And then endorphins. Yeah. So these are like 4 chemicals, and you would have seen a post on the WhatsApp group going for so many years about this. So these 4 chemicals get secreted, and they are called as the happiness chemicals. And so, for example, when you finish some task, and that's the reason I tell you to start exercising, because the moment you finish your exercise, the body secretes dopamine, for example, or endorphins. If you appreciate somebody, if you hug somebody, or if you shake hands, you say secret serotonin. These are 4 happiness chemicals. So if you have a routine, and why does Mayank feel nice about it? Because when he is actually solving a problem, or and talking to people, these chemicals get secreted, without any any additional work that is required. So keep this in the background. As we go along in the journey, we will kind of explore this in more detail. Yeah. So last question, Mayank.
Not a good one, but
please, we have to do. I feel, when I fight with my wife, okay. So I think this is a universal feeling that not only with wife, you will feel low after fight with, I think, anybody. Yeah. So what we will do today, Mayank, is that many a times the fight is because what we think about what the other person is thinking is not what the reality is. Yeah. So if you can find out the reality of what they are thinking, there is a high chance that you will be able to have conversation around that reality rather than the unreal thought that you have. And how do you get there is a practice that we will, try to learn in today's session. And if possible, you can share this recording with your spouse also. So a combination of both understanding can be very powerful. Yeah. So good. Can we clap for Mayank being the champion for this first one? So we can go next. We'll take one more and then we can, jump into the details. Yeah. Anybody who wants to go? Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, please, Amir.
Yeah, the first thing is the best thing about me. The best thing about me is that I don't judge people, whatever
Okay.
be the position or the status. I'm flexible with all.
Okay.
But this is also a big problem to me because in terms of getting a right person around you, because I because of the very sensitivity, I don't make any categorization this one is a good or bad.
Hmm.
So sometimes this is the positive as well as negative energy for me to work. A major area of improvement is that as I told, I'm very sensitive and emotional person. So
Very nice.
I easily trust people very easily. So when you introduce anyone very close to in your boundaries, uh,
Hmm.
that's a really a weakness point for you.
Okay. Okay.
I really feel good about myself when I get the same positive energy back to me, which I have thrown. I behave and I feel good when I behave and help someone very anonymously in their needs. So
Hmm.
that's a good that I feel very good about me, and I feel low about my life when I have set some goals on the target and I fails to accomplish because of the finance, because of the time, anything, and the family
Yes.
issues.
Yeah.
And yes, someone very close to us, whether it's a family member or anyone, if they argues with unnecessary argument, I feel low that for what I am doing and what we are uh, achieving in life. So that's some uh,
Yes, yes.
real life
So
experience for me.
yeah, yeah. So good. So Amir, what will happen in the program, after we go through is that you will slowly start seeing that, you will, instead of getting upset with the situation, you will start, seeing that where are they coming from? Why are they essentially saying whatever they are saying? And that will help you to not become upset with them, but try to have conversation around their thinking. Yeah. So as we go along in this journey, we will start exploring that. Yeah. So thank you so much. I would have loved to go through everybody's responses, but I don't think we'll have too much of time. So we will move forward. So thank you, Amir. We'll clap for you once. And
Thank you.
yeah, so in the, in as you go along in the journey, I would like you to relate this learning with a leader who you have been working with. So when you learn the concepts in today's session, you will start seeing that there are certain things that you will be able to relate to whatever, some of the people whom you have worked with may actually have. And what I want you to go and reflect is who is that emotional intelligent leader with whom you are able to relate the concepts for today's session. Yeah. So this is an exercise that you can do it later in the journey, and the mentor Rajula or Jaya will try to bring in the journey also for you. So this is a classic definition of emotional intelligence, and I want you all to read this and tell me that what do you essentially infer from this. What kind of reflection, what stands out for you, yeah, when you look at this um, this particular definition. Yeah. So anything that stands out for you, anything that you can reflect on this?
Managing emotions.
Yes.
That is,
Yes, Vamshi. Yes.
that's the only one very difficult to control.
Difficult to control. Okay. We'll handle this today very nicely. Anybody else? Anything that stands out for you?
Motivating ourselves.
Motivate ourselves. Very nice. Super.
I'm wondering on this part of complementary to academic intelligence.
Yes. So we are not saying that academic intelligence is not to be given importance, but today, if you look at, today there is a change happening, but for many years, I think there was not much of emotional intelligence, included in our curriculum in academics. So when this movement started about emotional intelligence, I think a lot of people started saying that I think academic is not to be given as much importance, and there was undue weightage on emotion also. So what we want to bring in, what Daniel Goleman wanted to say is that I think both has to be kept together, and they are both complementary, so they can be together, looked at, and hence it is said it's complementary. Yeah. So what you will also see here is that there is a use of both the terms, feelings at some places and emotions at some places, So if I were to ask you, that what is the difference between feelings and emotions?
Very good
What
question.
Hmm?
Very good question.
So what is the difference? Any thoughts? And
Feelings is something,
yeah, Jaya.
yeah, feeling is something you feel for a person, and emotion is expressing it out.
Emotion is expressing it out, okay. And feeling is something you feel about, okay.
Yeah, you feel for a person, you feel for a situation. But
Hmm.
expressing is, coming out in tears, or something like that. It's physical, basically.
Yes. Sure.
On the feeling side,
Yes, Mayank.
it could be a situation, or it could be a person where how do you react internally when things happen or something is there, right? What sense out of it would be probably an example of a feeling where I can see that I'm feeling low, or I'm feeling very high or nervous. If onto some activity, something I'm reacting to.
Okay.
I believe feeling in that case.
Sure.
I think
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think the
yeah.
feelings is related to your perceptions or of your body,
Okay.
and your emotion is just like it's related to something some events related there, like uh, for for any festival. So you have some emotions to celebrate it, but the feelings is related to I think related to some
Yeah,
physical
but
something.
they're opposite to what Jaya said, So I think Jaya said the other way around, but no problem. I think Priya, you wanted to share, yeah, and then Vamsi.
Yeah, for this session, for me, the feeling and emotion for this session is I feel very happy or very powerful knowing about this. So that is the feeling I have. Whereas the emotion I feel is I feel so let down because I didn't know it 20 years back. So that is the emotion that I have for this session. So that is the difference.
Got it. Okay, no problem. Vamsi, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feeling is the user interface and emotion is the backend logic.
Feeling is a user interface, and oh my God, emotion is a backend logic. Vamsi, too much. Awesome. Yeah.
No, if I'm not emotionally connected with something and internally not feeling it, then, and I would say I will use loose terms like I'm feeling bored, I'm feeling excited, but
Hmm.
emotion is the one which drives me. Like if I am connected to some cause emotionally at an emotional level,
Got it.
then my sense of feeling whether even I am doing a tough job or something will not actually surface, or
Got it.
even if it surface, I don't care much.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Sure, sure. Okay, Vamshi, and we'll explore that. And Shini wanted to say something. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, emotion, I think inward, feeling is outward. Emotion is a God-given gift. Feeling is how do you express it?
Feeling is how do you express it? Okay. So I think in some form what Shini said, kind of matches what what the real research says, and I'm going to walk you through that. And we are also going to look at many more things in the before we take the break for tea around 11. That we look at some parts of our brain. I'll also talk about emotion and feeling difference. I'll also talk about how some of our past experiences has an impact on our current behavior, and how does our mind never stops thinking. There's something or the other thought going on all the time, and those thoughts, are they real or are they just thoughts that come from our past? We'll deal with that. So let me first talk about what is the difference between an emotion and a feeling, and I'm going to narrate a story to drive this understanding. Yeah. So for next about 5 to 7 minutes or 8 minutes, I'm going to walk you through that. And be with me for that entire duration, where we listen to it carefully. And then we'll have some conversation around that. Yeah. So if you look at human beings when we are born, we all have four emotions that we are born with. Yeah, sad, glad, mad, and scared. So you can write down sad, glad, mad, and scared. Now there are many more emotions that are there, but maybe for our conversation today, I'll talk about these four, because these four are the prominent ones that we, essentially, if we can understand them, I think we can be very good at managing ourselves. So if you look at a small child, whether the child is born in Mexico, in Chennai, in Belgaum, in Trivandrum, doesn't matter. Every child, has got these four emotions that you can see. So if the child, nobody's around them, he becomes sad. If he's hungry, he becomes mad and he'll roll on the floor until you feed him. He'll become sad. He'll become glad if you play with him. Yeah. And he'll get scared if nobody's around them. Yeah. But what happens is, as we start, growing up, especially in the formative age of 6 to 12, a lot of our experiences, actually, we learn how to process the emotion and manifest that in the feeling. Yeah. So what Shini said is right. Emotions are the bodily experience that we have, and feelings are the manifestation of those emotions. So if you look at this girl called Geeta, she is about 9-year-old, and she is been asked to say the poem in the Republic Day function of the school. And this is the 25th year, so there is a special occasion. A lot of guests have come, and it's a big event. So Geeta is going to do the opening poem. So the parents are like super excited, and dad is working in banks, so he takes off for 10 days to prepare Geeta for the poem, and they by heart the poem quite a bit. Yeah. And as the time comes, and it's 26th morning, 10 o'clock, Geeta is behind the curtain. Yeah. And since she is the main speaker or the opening batsman, everybody's getting the first row seat, and parents, relatives are all on the first row. So the curtain is closed, and Geeta is behind the scene, behind the curtain, and waiting for the curtain to open. And as the curtain opens, she sees like this 1,000 people in the auditorium, and she gets a little nervous and forgets the first line of the poem. So when you forget the first line of the poem, what happens? Those of you by hearted, you forget the entire poem.
We freeze.
So, yeah, absolutely impossible. Yeah. So the more she looks at her mom, and I don't know today's mom whether they are the way the moms were there earlier. So the mom gives that stare look to the Gita saying that "Ghar pe chalo batati hu" type. So, and dad says we have spent so much money on this relatives accommodation, travel, and you're not speaking. And the more dad and mom looks at it, the more she is not able to say the poem. So after maybe 5 or 7 minutes, the teachers are also looking at her, all the students are looking at her, and she steps out of the stage without saying the poem. But that day she makes a decision. What's the decision? That from today,
Go on the stage.
I will never go on the stage. Yeah, that's the decision she makes. I will not do public speaking. Now fast forward her life to, she is 26-year-old, and she joins Nutanix and reports into Mayank. Okay, and so whenever Mayank says that, "Hey Gita, tomorrow there is a customer presentation," she says to Mayank that I have a doctor's appointment, or my mother is sick, or my grandmother passed away. So every time Mayank says that, you have to go for the presentation, she gives the same reason. So one day Mayank asked her that, how many grandmothers you have, because you've been always saying this. We are a very big joint family. So one or the other grandmother keeps going. So that's how it is. So whenever Mayank is saying this, what is happening is that if you look at this diagram here, this is a part of our brain called limbic system. And this is called the rational brain. So limbic system is where all our past experiences are saved. So when she is getting the first stimulus from Mayank, she might get one of the 4 emotions. So she will feel sad, experience sadness that why Mayank is always asking me. And she can process the emotion either on left side, which means left side processing of emotion, or she can do a right side processing of emotion. Now, if she operates only with limbic system and she experiences sadness, then she will give these reasons of my mother is sick, I have a doctor's appointment. But if she takes a pause and connects the limbic system with rational brain, she can actually do right side processing, which means she will tell Mayank that, "Hey Mayank, I really sometimes get little nervous in front of the customers. So can you get started and then I'll take up the half part of it." I know there is a program by Crossfit Leadership Journeys on presentation skills. I'll try and attend that. There is this Toastmasters Club. I'll join that, and over a period of time, I can do that. So if she connects the limbic system with rational brain by taking a pause, by experiencing the emotion on the body, she can actually start shifting the way she is processing every stimulus that comes to her. So if she does left side processing of emotion, she is only operating with the limbic system, which means she is not doing any processing with the rational brain. If she takes pause and does right side processing, she can actually connect with the rational brain and start getting the new ideas. So left side processing is, shutting down of system. There is no response. The body secretes a lot of cortisol. The right side processing is upward spiral. A lot of new ideas, mirror neurons getting fired, and you are able to converse that. Our brain is responsive to intentional practice, which means if I intentionally practice over a period of time, the limbic system does not operate with limbic system because you are actually connecting with rational brain and you are giving new responses. So your limbic system is now getting new experiences, which means when Geeta does the next presentation, the new experiences get recorded in limbic system. So over a period of time, the brain, which was earlier responding to saying that I could never go and do public speaking, the same brain is now actually saying that, yeah, I can actually, let me try this out. Let me speak to Mayank and let him get started. The options start emerging. So I'll take a pause here. Any thoughts, any reflections?
I'll probably take a few seconds on this.
Yes.
So personally on this particular example of getting frozen and then not doing it again in the life,
Yes.
I would have understood this as it is probably 3-4 years back.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something it is very new or unexpected thought which I have experienced now from my colleague. Probably.
Yes. Yes.
But actually, by chance, I can say I'm very fortunate that I worked in a system where I had been working with a new college, kids, people, and these engineers. And for me, I did a good thing that I put them into Toastmaster myself and
Right.
take their system into the training part that you do it. I'm sitting beside you, and if someone asks a question, you don't have an answer, it's okay. I'll be answering your question on your behalf. But I want you to start doing this presentation for our 100 plus people on the call.
Very nice.
Luckily, I think I can understand this, and I have luckily did it on the practical side of my professional career as well. So that is understanding of this thing, the why it is happening in the background. I was not aware of it. So this is thanks a lot.
Right. Super. Thanks, Mike. Any other thoughts? Anybody else?
One more probably thing I can ask is that you are saying that taking a movement, taking a pause is a better idea in probably every of the situation, maybe so personally, officially, or anywhere, right? Rather than going for right away, is not a great idea. Summarize this for myself.
Can I repeat the question, Mike?
Yeah, I'm saying that for taking a pause when the things come to you, maybe new or unexpected, and you're not ready for whatever
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
Probably taking a pause is a good idea rather than getting panic. Because
Very nice.
A lot of time I get panic and I like start blabbering here and there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I can probably take that point for me right away.
Yes. Yes. Why not? Why not? Absolutely. Aarti, any thoughts? Aarti, Jaya?
Yeah, it's actually a very I can put myself into such situations like not coming up in front, and I also have this fear. So I really don't know how to come across this. So maybe just by seeing this, putting a pause and in thinking over and stimulating your mind towards that. But you have to have a good manager or a mentor who has to hold your hand and take you through.
Yeah.
But you can't do most of the time these things, because if you don't have a set of people, then you look like a big fool in front of people. And most of the time, I think all of us don't come forward only on this fear that we get people make fun of us and they look down upon us. That's the thing which comes first than even trying.
So if you have to apply the right side processing again on that thing that you just shared, that there are not enough managers who support that, and if you have to apply the right side processing again for that also, what would you do?
You have to try once at least.
Yeah, but assuming that the manager is not really, having any support to you in terms of that, what else can you do?
I don't think of anything else right now, because for me, I am a people person. I like to sort of help people at all a given point of time. And, I somehow put myself in their shoes and see what exactly might be.
But I'm saying that, assuming that, you are doing it for that, but if you don't get that support, what could you do with right side processing?
I really don't know. Honestly, as of now, I don't know.
No problem. Yeah, we'll process that. Yeah, very nice. Priya,
Yes, Yogesh.
any thoughts?
I would think of getting some resources from somewhere, maybe talk to manager, if
So
possible.
there,
to
the
ask.
idea, yeah. So the idea is not really to find, any solution right now. It is the way we start processing our thinking. It's not about finding that one solution that we go to a manager or we go to manager's manager. It is all about how do I really process the obstacles that I am facing right now. So if I continue to work with limbic system only, then I will only respond to what I have been responding in the past.
Correct.
If I connect the limbic with rational, then I might have many new ideas, which we right now don't even know.
Yeah, correct. I agree to that. Yeah. It gives you a lot of small ideas and
Yes,
breakups.
yes,
And where you can generate ideas.
yes, Vamshi.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you say limbic system stores past experiences,
Yes.
is it that if I try to do something today, so that my tomorrow can recollect my today's action as past experience and I can make incremental progress?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. In fact, so we are not, see, you can never wipe out your past from the limbic system. But what you can do is you can now start processing the same experience differently.
So is it that in the limbic system, these all kind of things get stacked over, and slowly the past, the very old will automatically vanish, or will it be
No,
there?
it will be there.
But it will not shout so much.
It will not shout so much. Very nice. Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. Vamshi has a very natural ability to put it clearly, all the structure, like an architect.
No. No, because I want to share one experience. Whenever I go for shopping and other things, and I pass through the same way, say path, like that side road or something, twice or thrice I felt like I am the same person who was traveling even few months back the same road, but I was feeling at that point of time this thing, but today I am feeling like this. Then I see that things did not change actually around me. So what changed?
Brilliant.
That's why
Brilliant.
that I want to relate to limbic system, that okay, intentional action is actually creating that.
Brilliant. Very nice. Super. Excellent. So what happens, Vamshi, as we go along in the journey, today, we will start now processing ourselves differently. So, whenever I am having anything that I'm not able to do, I will not get upset with anybody around me. I will not say because of my wife, I could not do this, because of my mother, I could not do this, because my father did not put me in IIT classes, I did not do, they're all past. What can you do now? You connect to the rational brain, you do right side processing, a lot of options can start emerging for you. Isn't it? So as we, went along in the journey, Geeta, slowly started becoming, quite comfortable in presentation, and Mayank also started working with Geeta quite nicely. And, the other concept that I want to talk about is about our automatic stories, which is that our mind never stops, thinking about, thoughts. So like, for example, when you got the, email from Naveen, some of you might have thought that, I don't know, who is this Yogesh Agiwal? What is his EI? Let me see. I'll maybe be there for 15-20 minutes. See if it is okay, then I'll log off. Yeah, all these thoughts will be there. Yeah. But when you came here, you saw that, oh, it's a Yogesh, the Best People Manager Award, I think, then your thought changed about me. Yeah. So the mind never stops, thinking. So if you have had a past experience of an EI session which did not go well, you might not want to again come. Yeah. So the point is, do you want to believe those thoughts or go after some data before you make a conclusion? Yeah. So Geeta is working with Mayank very closely, and every Monday, Geeta gives the report to Mayank on time at 11 o'clock. Yeah, and it's been like 5 years, and Geeta never missed even a single time. So one day, Geeta, missed giving the report at 11 o'clock. So it is 12 o'clock. So Mayank went to his place and, asked Geeta that, where's the report? And went back to his desk without saying much. What would happen to Geeta if Mayank behaved like this?
She'll panic.
She'll panic. What else?
She'll feel, I am unable to do my job on time. So
Yes.
depression starts.
Yes. What else?
And then she will not be able to perform her work better.
Very nice. Yeah. So that's what happened. And yeah.
Even say, I've been doing so good all these days.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing will also be there.
Very nice.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt. Very nice, Aarti. Yeah. Shini, do you know Geeta? Yeah, your answer was bang on, actually. That was the main thing that she was thinking that, Mayank, doesn't really value after 5 years. If one time I have not done it, he did not even ask that why did you got delayed. So Mayank and Geeta go for lunch together, so they go at 1 o'clock. So during lunch also this story about Mayank is going on in Geeta's mind. So if you have seen some of the movies where, if you don't feel like eating, you throw away if you're not feeling well, if you're not in good mood, you want to throw away the food. Yeah, you would have seen in Hindi movies at home also, some of you might have tried this when you didn't find everything at home as per your expectation. So she doesn't eat well. So Mayank observes Geeta is not eating well. So Mayank's automatic story starts that first she did not give the report. Now she's not eating. Some issue. Maybe. I don't know what is. So she just got married recently. So maybe some settling issue at home is what Mayank thinks. So they go back to their desk and 4 o'clock they have to go through one client meeting. So Mayank, you're based in Hyderabad or Bangalore?
I moved to Mumbai.
Mumbai. So, Mayank has to go from Andheri to Bandra BKC for the presentation. So both are in the car. Usually Geeta is very talkative, but that day, that story is going on. So she doesn't speak at all. And Mayank's story continues. At first, she did not give the report. She didn't eat well. Now she's not talking at all. Some problem is there. So they both go to BKC office, and when they are presenting, because of all this in Geeta's mind, she misses out on one important slide while presentation. And when they come out of the office, Mayank gives in corporate world the peace of mind to Geeta that why don't you pay attention to this, whatever, And when they're returning, the car is even more silent than when they were going, because now you can imagine what has happened. So in the evening, usually at 7 o'clock, Geeta says bye to Mayank while going for like so many years. Today, Mayank sees that she has walked out without saying bye, and Mayank sees her in the parking lot, taking out her car and leaving the office. So Mayank almost concludes that I think she is possibly not interested in working at our office. And on the way, she calls Vamshi and tells Vamshi that, Mayank behaved like this. So Vamshi says that I told you in the beginning, right? Why do you work so hard? Because his managers are like that only. So next Monday, take off. Don't give the report. Let Mayank face the music with his manager. So, but, Geeta says that, okay, no problem, I'll just keep the phone. And in fact, Vamshi calls again back to Geeta and says that just check out, whether whatever award that Mayank had gone all right award, because I think he must actually be not the great manager and all that she says, but she says, okay, no problem. So next day morning when they come, Mayank and Geeta meet at the elevator. So they just say hello, but no major conversation. At 12, Geeta says that, hey Mayank, I have some work, so why don't you go for lunch? I'll go at 2 o'clock. So she, by Thursday, changes her lunch timing. No longer lunch together, no evening bye-bye. They are only working based on whatever the transaction is, no other innovation, no discussion. And on Friday, on the way, Mayank sees that she is actually at the gate of Infosys office. And Mayank says that boss, now it is 100% that
She's quitting.
going to quitting. Yeah. So he goes to office and tells the HR that I want a replacement for Geeta. And in a month's time, they gave the replacement. And in the exit interview, Geeta says that I think there's a horrible manager to work with, doesn't care for people. One small mistake, he shouts at me on one presentation. I don't want to work with him. In Mayank's exit interview, he says that she can't give the report on time. She doesn't present well. She goes to that Infosys campus, applies. I think we should have asked her to go much earlier than today. And Jaya has also joined Nutanix, and Jaya is a very senior vice president in the company, and Mayank reports into Jaya. That's the structure. So Geeta into Mayank, Mayank into Jaya. That's the structure. Now, let's flashback this and apply the thing that you learned right now, the right side processing framework to the situation. Yeah. So when first time when Geeta, Mayank came and spoke to Geeta and went back to his cabin without saying anything. If Geeta were to apply right side processing, what could Geeta do?
Geeta should, immediately calm her self, breathe properly, and then start on that report, whatever she was supposed to give, and go and give and say, by mistake, whatever happened, and
Brilliant.
I'll be careful next time.
Very nice, very nice, brilliant. Yeah. Anybody else?
I think Geeta could communicate with the manager in a better way.
Yes.
And prepare a report and submit it again.
Yes, very nice, Aarti. Absolutely. He could have gone to his office and said, yeah, Mayank, I usually give the report on time, but today I was stuck with that one P1 issue. And most likely, Mayank will say that I don't even look at the report. Today, Jaya came and asked me, that's why I came to you. Chapter closed.
Yeah.
When they were in lunchtime, what could have Mayank done if Mayank had applied the same framework, right side processing?
He should have asked her, what is wrong with you?
What
happened? And if I can be of any help to you.
Fantastic.
And let's discuss what happened in the morning, outside the office, so you can pour it out, whatever you have in mind.
Brilliant. So Geeta will, Mayank can say to his boss, you're not eating well. What is wrong with you?
Exactly.
She'll say, boss, you didn't ask me at 12 o'clock. Oh, because Jaya asked me, that's why. Close. When they were going in the car, if they were going in the car, who could have done right side processing? Both.
Mayank first.
Not necessarily. Both.
No, why both? Because the affected is the Geeta. So for her to come out of that shell, Mayank should help.
I think both of them has created their self-story. So both of them have to communicate each other.
See,
very nice.
I agree, but the point is the person who's in the upper end is Mayank.
Yes.
So if he comes down a bit, then the things will go much smoother. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes people think that, the person who's in the lower cadre or assisting him is stepping out of their zone and, trying to overpower or maybe trying to establish something which might not be the case.
But Mayank has no idea, no? Mayank has no idea that, why is Geeta upset?
But the point is, he knows she's upset. One point is very clear that she's upset. So a point could be either she's upset because of his behavior, she's upset because of something else around happening in her life. But the change happened just after he spoke to her in the morning about the report. So it is quite.
But last year, Mayank, the HR had warned him that, with women, don't go into their personal life. If they don't talk about their upsetness, so you don't get into that issue.
At least ask them what is wrong with you is nothing.
No, the women get very upset in this organization. The moment you ask that why it's not allowed. That's what is experience of Mayank. He asked 2-3 women, you are looking very dull today. So they put a case against Mayank last year. That, if I am giving you the work that is required, why are you asking me such question?
I believe probably
there is nothing personal in it. All he could put is professionally ask what happened to the report. I had expected it at 10 a.m. Have you finished it now or something like that?
No, I agree. But in the organization, Mayank had his limbic system has that experience of the past.
Okay. We'll talk about it later, or there could be a formal mail about it as to the report has to come out on time.
No problem. I think Jaya, while what you're saying is right, that would be ideal. But many a times what happens is that the senior leadership are sometimes so caught up with so many things that they may not actually intentionally not want to talk to the person to find out. But if the junior person were to also open the conversation, the chances are that Mayank will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was so busy with the
I
other
didn't even think
proposal.
about it like that.
I just came to your place, I had to rush for the other call. But actually, so next time if I'm rushing like this, don't misunderstand me. Because I'm actually, there's so much happening right now. See how the relationship is getting better and better. Because then what will happen is that it will not continue, because see, whatever has happened, like she did not eat food was real. She did not speak was real.
Yeah.
She, did not present was real. She spoke to Vamshi was real. She was there in Infosys campus was real to drop her cousin who is joining Infosys. Because the cousin said that I am coming from Belgaum for the first time. So I don't know how the Mumbai city looks like. So can you come with me? Yeah. So the real things that happened was on something which was unreal, which is Mayank having no issue at 12 o'clock on that Monday. But imagine if you have too many real things happening, it is very difficult to go back to the unreal thing. So the practice that we want to put from today is that observing our automatic stories every moment and not letting that automatic stories go too far. So जैसे ही लगा तुरंत पूछ लो. Immediately ask the person. Now I know, as Jaya was saying, that in a corporate setup there could be certain protocols, certain inhibition of people to go and talk to seniors. But we have to slowly start creating a new culture where you're not really living with those automatic stories, but you're trying to get those automatic stories out of your way as early as possible. Now, if you were to continue with Vamshi, when Geeta called Vamshi, what if Vamshi were to apply right side processing, what Vamshi could do?
He could have said, given a little time and, don't judge on such things and don't overreact for certain things.
Brilliant.
Give it a peace of mind, think through so that you can come to a right decision and, don't prolong these things. But it doesn't happen generally.
Doesn't happen generally.
There are people like Vamsis to, create things on a much negative side of it.
Yes. Because imagine if Geeta goes and joins any other organization, how will she behave with the manager? Very safe. Boss, don't do anything extra. If you give a report every day, 5 years for 11 o'clock, you'll not get recognized. Do only what is told to you. What happens when she comes, a new joinee comes to her department? Boss, with Mayank, do only what is told. Don't do anything extra. My 5 years effort never paid off. And go to talk to Vamshi. He will train you how to not give anything on time, how to, trouble the managers. He's a champion for that. He's going to write a book on that. How to trouble the manager, because managers troubled us. Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Mayank.
I'm going to add one point here, is that not me as a character in the story, but on the personal side, as experience, I have been very fortunate for the last 3.5 years as a Nutanix employee. My manager has been very, very far great human being, and the manager as well. So that that connectivity with him, and I see not with me only, I mean across all the team members who were working under him as leadership, are very much connected personally with him, and that sense of safe, sense of supportiveness is there by default. So when I look at the story, the first line it says she has been doing the right thing at 11 o'clock for last 5 years. So fundamentally, me as a manager, I would, the moment I see it is being delayed or something is required or not on the right timeline, right, I would immediately, at least on a personal scale, I see that fundamentally something is wrong because it is not on the right pattern, which has been followed for the last 5 years, right? So that is the first sense of alertness for me to understand something is not right. Is with Geeta's background. I need to talk to her, probably not at the same time I'm busy with something else, but probably I'll spend time. The moment I get a chance, next immediately, car, lunch, whatever it is, I'll immediately check with her that what is something bothering you, what is impacting your work, because you have never done this thing in ever 5 years. What is that has changed the pattern right now, right? So history, at least I see personally, history helps me to understand the person's behavior, and obviously
so Mayank, these are all ideal. There is no question about that. One has to do that. But what happens, Mayank, is that why some of the divorces happen in a marriage, for example. Yeah, I mean they have lived for so many years, but these automatic stories.
Communication, understanding.
Because you start the automatic stories, if you don't clarify, the best of best people will actually get into the trap. Because the reality that at some point is hitting you is so strong that you don't see any reason for what you have shared in the HR exit interview. Because what you're seeing right now is she's not presenting well, she doesn't come for lunch, she goes to Infosys. All this is reality in your mind. But the reality is based on something which is unreal. So rationally, you will be able to not come and go back to that unreal situation.
I have to add something here.
Yes.
In my personal experience, I always feel that it's always better to clear at the beginning than just imagining things at your end.
Yes.
Because it's always, if you have any doubt, if you have anything to you feel not right, it's better that you approach a person, ask for 5 minutes, this is what is going in my mind, can you explain this, where do I go wrong, or what is it which is bothering us, building that thing in your mind is really, really very, very dangerous.
Yes.
For you as well as for the other person.
So there is one part of the brain which you talked about, the rational brain, which is also called as prefrontal cortex. And prefrontal cortex sometimes becomes irrational. It is also a brain for decision making. And for it to behave rationally, it needs glucose. And I'm going to give you a nice tea break to have some tea and provide glucose to your prefrontal cortex before you become irrational. Yeah. Yeah. So I know it doesn't sound as if you're already 1.5 hours, 2 hours in the session. Because I don't see any body language that is telling me that you guys want to take a break. But as a facilitator, I would like you to give you guys a nice break. So can we do a small 10 minutes break and then come back while this session is, we're not charging anything for the session, but if you come back late, then there is a charge, which is 5,000 rupees per minute multiplied by number of people right now in the session. And if you're wondering how do I pay the money and all that, so that don't worry. I got Google Pay, Phone Pay, online transfer, credit card, all facility. Yeah.
My
So-
math is very bad. I'll be fine.
So we are at 11:10, 11:20. We should be back. Yeah. Okay. Or I can to just make it more comfortable. You guys have to think also about all that. Take 15 minutes. 11:25. Take a 15 minutes break. जया अच्छी से चाय पी के आ जाओ.
मुझे खाना बनाना है.
खाना बनाना है क्या बात है, जल्दी जल्दी बना के आ जाओ.
इतनी जल्दी तो कुछ होगा नहीं.
कुकर लगा के आ जाओ.
Okay.
Before you do the thing, I just want to introduce you to the last, piece, which is, so we saw this very nicely. We saw the difference between emotions and feelings. So if you look at this, this heat map, which is also there in your workbook, you will see many emotions that you feel on your body. Yeah, but we're only talking about the 4, which is sad, glad, mad, scared. Yeah, because these are 4 we spoke about. There are many others, but we don't want to get so much into detail, and you can explore it as you go along. So what happens now is that after the program, you can start experiencing on your body. So the first response on your body will tell you that I think something else, something is going wrong in the conversation, or you are going to trigger some conversation that may not be all right. So the body first gets the response, and then you process it into feeling. So essentially, this is a model that you can try. So emotions is what you meet on the body, and then you greet them. So if you greet them by name, is basically you say that, oh, this is sad, this is glad, this is mad, this is scared. Because that is giving you the pause, and that pause is essentially to treat them after that. So you are basically connecting the limbic system with the prefrontal cortex or rational brain by doing right side processing. So meet, greet, treat is the mantra for you to go after. So whenever you are coming across situations where you are having a conversation that is uncomfortable, just try to observe on your body. Where do you feel? So some of you may feel in those the picture that I showed about. And it's a gradual process. So don't expect that overnight you will be able to respond. But I think as you start practicing, you get better at it. As you start practicing more and more. Yeah. So automatic stories we saw, and here is what we saw, that between the stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our freedom to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. So, as we go and start practicing this, I think we will have to start seeing that, how can we essentially try and give the response by connecting our limbic system to the rational brain. And before I give you time to write, and then we're going to invite Guy Winch, who is a very, very popular speaker. I want you to, look at this last piece of our brain called the amygdala. Now, here is what you saw is the limbic system. Here is the prefrontal cortex, and here is the amygdala. Now, this part of the brain, if you see, the function of this part of the brain is to scan for threat. Okay, it is constantly scanning for threat. Now, so when it is scanning for threat and it experiences any threat, the blood from the brain is supplied to the body so that the body can handle the threat. So, for example, if I'm in my in my home here and I see some cracking noise coming from the ceiling, that the ceiling may fall. So the amygdala will get activated. It will supply the blood to the body so that I can either handle the ceiling or I can run from the room. So the blood can be in the leg, or it can be in the arms. Now at that time, we don't need any rational thinking. So I will not say, let's go and talk to PS who is right here, that who is the architect, what was the measurement, how much was the cement. Are Baba, that is all later. Paire bhago, run and save yourself, right? Now the amygdala also finds a difference of opinion as a threat. So if me and say, Priya are having a conversation and Priya is not agreeing to my point of view, that also is a threat to amygdala. And what it does is it supplies the blood, takes the blood from the brain and puts it on your arms and the leg. So have you experienced that when you shout at somebody and after 2 hours you feel that, yeah, I should not have shouted that high, maybe it could have handled in a different way. Why does that happen? Because the amygdala gets activated and the blood is supplied, pulled out from the brain, and you become irrational. And after 2 years, when the blood comes back to the brain, you become rational. Yeah, so if you go to the airport, you would see this very common. You go to the airport, and if I have to go to Vizag or if I go to Pune, and the check-in counter person says that, sir, your flight has got cancelled. And tomorrow, if you have an important program, the amygdala can get activated. What will happen? You will start shouting at the airline counter person, start banging the counter, hurt your knees, and you can't travel at all. But if you can now start practicing this amygdala to not get it activated, which means you're training your amygdala that I know this is a panic situation, but this is not a panic of the floor falling on your head. You ask the airline person that, is there any other flight I can take to Pune? Can I go to Bombay and take a cab? Can you put me into another airline? So there are many such options that can start getting emerged from you. Yeah. So over a period of time, as you start training your amygdala, the amygdala doesn't get activated in situation when there is an argument. So what you do is you keep your brain engaged by saying that if Priya is saying something to me which I'm not agreeing, instead of getting angry with Priya and becoming sarcastic or doing any other shouting and all, I'll ask Priya, hey Priya, why do you think so? What is your thinking? What is your rationale behind it? Yeah. So one time, one batch said to me that, sir, we are 10 of us here. Can we go to Apollo Hospital and remove that amygdala so that once for all the problem in life will get sorted out? So I said, you guys are brilliant, yeah. I mean, I would never think that's such a brilliant idea. And we can get group discount also, he said, the one of the participant, we'll get group discount also. So I told him that we can go and do that, but when you're on the road and a big truck comes to your, on your way, you will not even move because there is no amygdala for you to save you. Okay, so amygdala is required for us to save, but not in situation where it gets activated because of primitive brain. So if you train your amygdala from now, you will not get upset with anybody because the other person is actually saying something to you with their thinking, which may not match with your thinking. And your amygdala sees that also as a threat. But if you are constantly engaging your amygdala by saying that, oh no, I think there may be a certain point of view, let me talk to the person. So you're not letting it get activated. And as I was telling in the beginning, that our brain is responsive to intentional practice. Matlab, if we can intentionally practice for a while, your brain becomes like this, So Vamshi, over a period of time, when he practices this, he will tell, Gita that I think, Mayank must be, tied up. Just go and, meet him because now his brain is right side processing. Yeah. So amygdala is a very important part. So all those who are getting angry in general, now after this practice, anger will go away completely. Yeah, right. So Jaya is saying, "मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आता है," so this will help her. No, yeah, you're on mute. Yeah, Jaya. Yeah, Jaya, you're on mute.
I said, I'm saying this is something which will help in, checking yourself.
Very nice, absolutely. And I think all of us, in some form, in some degree, have anger that comes in. So, how do you handle that? So, you are constantly engaging your amygdala in, going back and finding out what the other person is thinking rather than getting upset. Yeah. So, I'm going to give you about, maybe 10 minutes to write down everything that we learned so far. So the early experiences, so in the workbook itself, there is a section where you can actually write down about, the explanation. So it will be a very handy for you because you need to go and now teach a lot of people, who may not be aware of all this, so the workbook has got everything that you would need to teach, anybody that you want to teach at your home or at your office. And in the workbook, if you go down, you will see a section where there is a section called, I think, page number 7, where you can write difference between emotion and feeling, right side processing and left side processing. So you can say that emotion is what we feel we experience on the body, and the processing of emotion converts into a feeling. And if we do left side processing, like this is the section I was talking about. So if I were to quickly show you in your workbook, you can write down here like this. So here is we can fill it up. So you have a difference between emotion and feeling, left side processing versus right side. So left side is, it's like a downward spiral. Yeah. Then it is like no answers. Body secrete cortisol. Yeah. But right side processing is, upward spiral. Down, like a lot of ideas. Body secreting endorphins. Yeah. Like that, you can write. And then here, you have got early experience, so you can write in early experiences is Gita story. And then how she, and then automatic story is the story of Gita and Mayank. And we are recording this, so you can, yeah. And then finally, I think there is one more. It is not there, but I think you can also write about amygdala here. So you can write, about amygdala also. You can just put it here and amygdala. So I'll give you about 10 minutes to write all this, and then we will invite Guy Winch. Guy Winch is a fantastic speaker and a psychologist based out of America. So we will listen to him, and then, yeah.
Can you please share the document again? I had to log out because.
Yes. I'll do that.
Thank you very much. I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Is it, you told that when we give time, then the right side processing starts.
Yes.
Is it what in general terms we call common sense?
Possible. I mean, you can use whatever term you like. The reason I'm talking about the prefrontal cortex, limbic system is that you get a structure to now processing your thoughts. Otherwise, what you said is right. But in reality, if that was the case, then why would we have so many challenges in the world, in the families, in the society? Because we haven't really processed our emotion. Like amygdala is like such a common, like automatic stories about people, operating from the past experiences. Yeah, all that can be nicely managed.
Okay.
And common sense, as you know, is not very common. Vamshi?
Yeah, that's why that is what is my concern.
Yes. But now you got the full equipment to handle very nicely, and you will be probably so surprised about yourself that so many insights come to you as you start practicing this. Because now you are on your own, you can figure it out yourself. Why am I getting upset? Why is somebody else getting upset? So you're getting upset more on somebody else's upsetness. You start thinking that what is making them upset? What can I say to them to make them not upset? So it's a beautiful journey that you embark on.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say here to
Yes.
see regarding this common sense. Common sense again is not common for all. You have to make sure it is you and the other person have that commonality, or else it is again different. So that is something you might not want to use
Yes.
too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very nice. Very nice. So the notes will help you to, share and teach many more people. You can take it handy. So in your apartment complex, where you think you can run this session, you can talk to people. And if they tell you that we want to run in our own organization, you can go and contact Crossroad Leadership Journeys. Marketing.
Yogesh, you
Yeah.
mentioned when you're giving explanation that you feel it in your body, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can add another space here for that body feelings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because every time my boss checks, yeah, I'm not finding. I can add if I want to, but I'm not finding the appropriate reminder or space.
Okay.
Yogesh, what would you add in the early experiences?
The experience of childhood experience of Gita.
Okay.
Early experience, the early childhood experience, that 26 January, Republic Day story.
Okay.
Nice story, na Jaya?
Very nice.
Many stories, Yogesh, like that.
I know, I can imagine.
So many Gitas.
So many Gitas, yeah.
We are writing our own Gitas.
Yes.
For that body experience, I had an interesting experience actually. I was going through this course. I am now 47 years old and I didn't know a lot of things were there in my body. I was struggling with burps and IBS and some stuff like that, which were labeled under menopause or common issues. This course really helped, and when I became aware of Heal Your Body by Louise Hay, wow, that was an eye-opener for me, and I started doing somatic healing, and wow.
Why don't you share that in a separate session, Geet?
Yes, you should do one like this one that I did, right?
Yes.
Like this, is it?
Why not? You tell Naveen Somala that. I think, imagine if Naveen's speakers can do one session every month. We can have like 10 years of session ready already.
Oh my God, that was, that maybe, now that you're telling that,
Ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
ideas.
And Jaya is our champion motivator in general with lots of energy.
Thank you.
जय आप ये mentoring का ये बैच को कर लो आप तो आपका ट्रायल भी हो जाए because there is one batch coming in Vizag soon, so I was telling Sulba that you can start on that also.
Sure.
कर लेंगे तो एक ट्रायल भी हो जाएगा आपको, you'll be ready for the real one.
Yeah.
ठीक है, so I'll do one thing. I'll quickly take you all through this. Nice.
Can we do this notes later?
Yes. You can do it later. And you can write on the WhatsApp group if you have any questions. I'm going to invite you to watch this very powerful video by Guy Winch. And after you watch this, while you watch this, just make a note of all the concepts that he's talking about. So like, for example, he talks about rumination, self-esteem. So just make a note of it as you listen to his video. Yeah? So I'm going to share this video now. It's a very, very powerful video. So let me just share right now with you.
I grew up with my identical twin, who was an incredibly loving brother. Now, one thing about being a twin is it makes you an expert at spotting favoritism. If his cookie was even slightly bigger than my cookie, I had questions. And clearly, I wasn't starving. When I became a psychologist, I began to notice favoritism of a different kind. And that is how much more we value the body than we do the mind. I spent 9 years at university earning my doctorate in psychology, and I can't tell you how many people look at my business card and say, "Oh, a psychologist, so not a real doctor." As if it should say that on my card. This favoritism we show the body over the mind. I see it everywhere. I recently was at a friend's house and their 5-year-old was getting ready for bed. He was standing on a stool by the sink brushing his teeth when he slipped and scratched his leg on the stool when he fell. He cried for a minute, but then he got back up, got back on the stool, and reached out for a box of Band-Aids to put one on his cut. Now, this kid could barely tie his shoelaces, but he knew you have to cover a cut so it doesn't become infected, and you have to care for your teeth by brushing twice a day. We all know how to maintain our physical health and how to practice dental hygiene, right? We know it since we were 5 years old. But what do we know about maintaining our psychological health? Well, nothing. What do we teach our children about emotional hygiene? Nothing. How is it we spend more time taking care of our teeth than we do our minds? Why is it our physical health is so much more important to us than our psychological health? You know, we sustain psychological injuries even more often than we do physical ones, injuries like failure or rejection or loneliness. And they can also get worse if we ignore them, and they can impact our lives in dramatic ways. And yet, even though there are scientifically proven techniques we could use to treat these kinds of psychological injuries, we don't. It doesn't even occur to us that we should. Oh, you're feeling depressed. Just shake it off. It's all in your head. Can you imagine saying that to somebody with a broken leg? Oh, just walk it off. It's all in your leg. It is time we close the gap between our physical and our psychological health. It's time we made them more equal. More like twins. Speaking of which, my brother is also a psychologist, so he's not a real doctor either. We didn't study together, though. In fact, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is move across the Atlantic to New York City to get my doctorate in psychology. We were apart then for the first time in our lives, and the separation was brutal for both of us. But while he remained among family and friends, I was alone in a new country. We missed each other terribly, but international phone calls were really expensive then, and we could only afford to speak for 5 minutes a week. When our birthday rolled around, it was the first we wouldn't be spending together. We decided to splurge, and that week we would talk for 10 minutes. I spent the morning pacing around my room, waiting for him to call. And waiting. And waiting. But the phone didn't ring. Given the time difference, I assumed, okay, he's out with friends, he'll call later. There were no cell phones then. But he didn't. And I began to realize that after being away for over 10 months, he no longer missed me the way I missed him. Now, I knew he would call in the morning, but that night was one of the saddest and longest nights of my life. I woke up the next morning. I glanced down at the phone, and I realized I had kicked it off the hook when pacing the day before. I stumbled out of bed, I put the phone back on the receiver, and it rang a second later. And it was my brother. And boy, was he pissed. It was the saddest and longest night of his life as well. Now, I tried to explain what happened, but he said, I don't understand. If you saw I wasn't calling you, why didn't you just pick up the phone and call me? He was right. Why didn't I call him? I didn't have an answer then. But I do today, and it's a simple one. Loneliness. Loneliness creates a deep psychological wound, one that distorts our perceptions and scrambles our thinking. It makes us believe that those around us care much less than they actually do. It makes us really afraid to reach out, because why set yourself up for rejection and heartache when your heart is already aching more than you can stand? I was in the grips of real loneliness back then, but I was surrounded by people all day, so it never occurred to me. But loneliness is defined purely subjectively. It depends solely on whether you feel emotionally or socially disconnected from those around you, and I did. There is a lot of research on loneliness, and all of it is horrifying. Loneliness won't just make you miserable, it will kill you. I'm not kidding. Chronic loneliness increases your likelihood of an early death by 14%. 14%. Loneliness causes high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It even suppresses the functioning of your immune system, making you vulnerable to all kinds of illnesses and diseases. In fact, scientists have concluded that taken together, chronic loneliness poses as significant a risk for your long-term health and longevity as cigarette smoking. Now, cigarette packs come with warnings saying this could kill you, but loneliness doesn't. And that's why it's so important we prioritize our psychological health, that we practice emotional hygiene, because you can't treat a psychological wound if you don't even know you're injured. Loneliness isn't the only psychological wound that distorts our perceptions and misleads us. Failure does that as well. I once visited a daycare center where I saw 3 toddlers play with identical plastic toys. You had to slide the red button and a cute doggy would pop out. One little girl tried pulling the purple button, then pushing it, and then she just sat back and looked at the box with her lower lip trembling. The little boy next to her watched this happen, then turned to his box and burst into tears without even touching it. Meanwhile, another little girl tried everything she could think of until she slid the red button, the cute doggy popped out, and she squealed with delight. So, 3 toddlers with identical plastic toys, but with very different reactions to failure. The first 2 toddlers were perfectly capable of sliding a red button. The only thing that prevented them from succeeding was their mind, tricked them into believing they could not. Now, adults get tricked this way as well all the time. In fact, we all have a default set of feelings and beliefs that gets triggered whenever we encounter frustrations and setbacks. Are you aware of how your mind reacts to failure? You need to be. Because if your mind tries to convince you you're incapable of something and you believe it, then like those 2 toddlers, you'll begin to feel helpless and you'll stop trying too soon, or you won't even try at all. And then you'll be even more convinced you can't succeed. You see, that's why so many people function below their actual potential. Because somewhere along the way, sometimes a single failure convinced them that they couldn't succeed, and they believed it. Once we become convinced of something, it's very difficult to change our mind. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was a teenager with my brother. We were driving with friends down a dark road at night when a police car stopped us. There had been a robbery in the area and they were looking for suspects. The officer approached the car and he shined his flashlight on the driver, then on my brother in the front seat, and then on me, and his eyes opened wide and he said, "Where have I seen your face before?" And I said, "In the front seat." But that made no sense to him whatsoever, so now he thought I was on drugs. So he drags me out of the car, he searches me, he marches me over to the police car, and only when he verified I don't have a police record could I show him I had a twin in the front seat. But even as we were driving away, you could see by the look on his face, he was convinced that I was getting away with something. Our mind is hard to change once we become convinced. So it might be very natural to feel demoralized and defeated after you fail, but you cannot allow yourself to become convinced you can't succeed. You have to fight feelings of helplessness. You have to gain control over the situation. And you have to break this kind of negative cycle before it begins. Our minds and our feelings, they're not the trustworthy friends we thought they were. They're more like a really moody friend who can be totally supportive one minute and really unpleasant the next. I once worked with this woman who, after 20 years of marriage and an extremely ugly divorce, was finally ready for her first date. She had met this guy online, and he seemed nice, and he seemed successful, and most importantly, he seemed really into her. So she was very excited. She bought a new dress and they met at an upscale New York City bar for a drink. 10 minutes into the date, the man stands up and says, "I'm not interested," and walks out. Rejection is extremely painful. The woman was so hurt she couldn't move. All she could do was call a friend. And here's what the friend said: "Well, what do you expect? You have big hips, you have nothing interesting to say. Why would a handsome, successful man like that ever go out with a loser like you?" Shocking, right? That a friend can be so cruel. But it would be much less shocking if I told you it wasn't the friend who said that. It's what the woman said to herself. And that's something we all do, especially after a rejection. We all start thinking of all our faults and all our shortcomings, what we wish we were, what we wish we weren't. We call ourselves names, maybe not as harshly, but we all do it. And it's interesting that we do, because our self-esteem is already hurting. Why would we want to go and damage it even further? Right? We wouldn't make a physical injury worse on purpose. You wouldn't get a cut on your arm and decide, "Oh, I know, I'm going to take a knife and see how much deeper I can make it." But we do that with psychological injuries all the time. Why? Because of poor emotional hygiene. Because we don't prioritize our psychological health. We know from dozens of studies that when your self-esteem is lower, you are more vulnerable to stress and to anxiety, that failures and rejections hurt more, and it takes longer to recover from them. So when you get rejected, the first thing you should be doing is to revive your self-esteem, not join Fight Club and beat it into a pulp. When you're in emotional pain, treat yourself with the same compassion you would expect from a truly good friend. We have to catch our unhealthy psychological habits and change them. And one of the unhealthiest and most common is called rumination. To ruminate means to chew over. It's when your boss yells at you, or your professor makes you feel stupid in class, or you have a big fight with a friend, and you just can't stop replaying the scene in your head for days, sometimes for weeks on end. Now, ruminating about upsetting events in this way can easily become a habit, and it's a very costly one. Because by spending so much time focused on upsetting and negative thoughts, you are actually putting yourself at significant risk for developing clinical depression, alcoholism, eating disorders, and even cardiovascular disease. The problem is, the urge to ruminate can feel really strong and really important, so it's a difficult habit to stop. I know this for a fact, because a little over a year ago, I developed the habit myself. You see, my twin brother was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. His cancer was extremely aggressive. He had visible tumors all over his body. And he had to start a harsh course of chemotherapy. And I couldn't stop thinking about what he was going through. I couldn't stop thinking about how much he was suffering. Even though he never complained, not once. He had this incredibly positive attitude. His psychological health was amazing. I was physically healthy, but psychologically I was a mess. But I knew what to do. Studies tell us that even a 2-minute distraction is sufficient to break the urge to ruminate in that moment. And so each time I had a worrying, upsetting, negative thought, I forced myself to concentrate on something else until the urge passed. And within 1 week, my whole outlook changed and became more positive and more hopeful. 9 weeks after he started chemotherapy, my brother had a CAT scan, and I was by his side when he got the results. All the tumors were gone. He still had 3 more rounds of chemotherapy to go, but we knew he would recover. This picture was taken 2 weeks ago. By taking action when you're lonely, by changing your responses to failure, by protecting your self-esteem, by battling negative thinking, you won't just heal your psychological wounds, you will build emotional resilience, you will thrive. You know, 100 years ago, people began practicing personal hygiene. and life expectancy rates rose by over 50% in just a matter of decades. I believe our quality of life could rise just as dramatically if we all began practicing emotional hygiene. Can you imagine what the world would be like if everyone was psychologically healthier? If there were less loneliness and less depression? If people knew how to overcome failure? If they felt better about themselves and more empowered? If they were happier and more fulfilled? I can, because that's the world I want to live in. And that's the world my brother wants to live in as well. And if you just become informed and change a few simple habits, well, that's the world we can all live in. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Any thoughts, reflections on the video?
It's very good. We all were in a different zone altogether.
Yeah. Yes.
Story of grit, really, self-understanding.
Yes.
And resilience. Right, amazing.
Yes.
And the life experience.
Yeah, he brings in so many things very beautifully together in a 15-minute talk, you know.
Right, right.
Any particular thing that you could connect with in terms of the concept that he spoke about? I think you could retail very deep, you could connect very deeply with.
No, so for me, it's the same way which I told you earlier. Is what he I think said that the term was rumination, if I'm not wrong, right? Again and again. For me, it's like something very common, I can say that much.
Very nice. Yeah, I think, but now you could essentially, see how that really is playing out in your mind. How can you do certain meet, greet, treat model that you learned, Very nice. P.S. anything that stands out for you?
Yeah.
Me, long-term PSO.
It's okay. Yeah, carry on. Yeah. I mean, what I see is generation after generation. Like, for example, like I'm in 60s, but when I see people in 30s, they're very more vulnerable, especially on to this emotional hygiene. I mean, we could see youngsters very easily getting into depression and yeah, actually, it's a very hard truth.
Yes, yes. Very nice. So such programs, PS, really we should do more and more for more and more people because, there's a very easy framework to follow if you now see, it's not very difficult. It's just that a couple of these things has to be put in regular practice.
See, I'm just a week back, we picked up one boy, was a bright youngster till his intermediate.
Right.
And he joined one of the good college for his engineering.
Yes.
Nobody knows what happened. After first year, he refused to go back to college. And then his father literally has to pull him out and then put in another arts college. Even there, he could not get back. He went into a shell and COVID came, it aggravated. And now he's around 23. He don't know to speak to anyone except his parents and his sister. So his father don't know what to do. So then, of course, he's a good friend of mine. So I said, just send him to our office, and we have taken him as an intern.
Okay.
And we see slowly he's coming out. And,
Okay.
and of course, we had previously such people who are
Mhm.
dropouts and all, and shining like anything.
Very
Once we
nice.
start listening to them and then
Very
give them an
nice.
opportunity to be heard.
Lovely, lovely. Very nice. Yeah, I think PS needs a very nice clap. Yeah. So PS, there is one very nice coach we have called Sagar Vishwas. He actually is an NLP master trainer. So maybe if you like, we can take his help also to expedite this boy's performance. We can introduce him to his dad, and I have personally seen many cases where dramatically Sagar has changed the way these kids somewhere has.
Again, our society is positioned in a way that if you say that let's go to a psychologist,
Yes.
they feel that, hey, what happened? I mean,
Yeah.
am I mad? Or
Yeah.
they think that only when you are in a bad condition, you have to go to a
Yes.
psychologist.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That kind of stamping also is there in the society.
Stamping also is there completely. Yes. 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 Absolutely. So, but yeah, I think there is a lot of help
People don't really
available.
give importance to the emotional or mental health these days. I mean, of course, things have changed from the past, but still, it's very difficult for people to normally understand somebody is going for a therapy. Arey, kya ho gaya? Therapy, like so.
Yes. Yes.
We need to understand that that's equally important.
Yes. 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 Completely. Completely. Very nice. Good. So I think this video also, it's there on YouTube, called Guy Winch Emotional Hygiene. If you search, you can find it on YouTube. Guy Winch, he has got many videos, but this one is called as the Emotional Hygiene. Yeah. So in your workbook, I have given you a couple of, examples that you can apply the framework that you have learned so far, all the learning that you have done, and you can use this practice. There are 4 situations, and maybe when Jaya connects with you on the WhatsApp group, you can answer to them. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is that there is a very nice book that I want you all to, pick up. It's called as the Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's a nice book by author called Travis Bradbury. Yeah, so I'm also typing it on the chat. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradbury.
The screen is blocked. We can't see what you're typing.
Okay, no, you will see it on the chat actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see on the chat, you will see the name of the book. And this book also has got a very nice assessment. So if you can actually also, look at the assessment, that will help you to see for yourself, which area of emotional intelligence. And now I'm going to talk about, so now you understood the concepts, you understood some techniques, but we'll now look at how do you build our EI skills using this 4 things which are picked up from the book only. So it's a very nice book. All of you should buy the book, and then read it. But this book, this next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the key, suggestions that I really found very useful from the author. And you can broadly divide them into 4 parts. So self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So self-awareness is our initial, like how do we kind of experience ourselves. So when you look at the emotion on your body, the amygdala activation, the limbic system experiences, the connection with the prefrontal cortex, all that is like the first part of it. So I then become a little sensitive to the conversation, and I don't just respond, just immediately whenever there is a stimulus, but I take some time to think about it. Self-management is some of the activities that I do to manage my emotions so I can have a different a feeling for the same emotion. Social awareness is that how do I recognize, what the other party is going through? Like the way PS is now, watching the young kid on how, he is processing. So that is social awareness, that, you are able to observe what the person is going through. And then last is using everything that we have is for relationship management. So how do you build relationship? How do you manage relationship? So these are the four, areas, and I'm going to touch upon each of these areas. So starting with self-awareness. So if you look at a couple of these points, some of them are quite self-explanatory, and when you read the book, you will find even more details in that. But like if I were to quickly take you through it, so first is that we should quit treating our feelings and emotions as good or bad, in the sense, just right now observe, because you're not really labeling them. The moment you say that I'm like this, I'm like that, you will start really making judgment about yourself. Second is when we do left side processing, like the way Geeta did, for example, when she was actually upset with Mayank and she was going home. Imagine the left side processing. What will it do to the children's? What will it do to the other family members? Do you think Geeta will have a good time in the evenings and those days when she was going back to home from office with the kind of relationship with Mayank? So the ripple effect of left side processing is not only to yourself, but also to your family members, others in the family. Feel your emotions physically is essentially, as we were saying, that each one of you should now start become conscious about which part of my body I am feeling that. Observe your discomfort. Now, there are some people, with whom we essentially find it uncomfortable, or some situations, like some people find it very uncomfortable saying sorry. That's their discomfort. So observe that. Know who and what pushes your button. So in the book, Travis talks about a very nice story about one of the clients' sister, and this sister was, always part of, a lot of this Toastmasters type of competition. And whenever she was at home, she would, practice very loudly. And the parents would accompany her to different parts of the city, different parts of the country. And there was very less attention paid to this person, and he got so upset with that whenever he heard a loud voice, he would get upset with the person. Now, in office, the people who were speaking loud had nothing to do with the childhood experiences of this person about the sister, but because of that, any loud voice will make her upset. So know who and what pushes your button is to knowing what is pushing your button. Keep a journal of processing. So I would highly recommend you take one notepad or one 200-page book and keep writing from today evening for about 5 minutes on how has been the day for you. How many times did you do left side processing? Who are the people who you did left side processing more? Yeah, so when you do this, you will start seeing a nice pattern in your processing, that you will start seeing that this is the time of the day, or these are the people, these are the situation. Yeah. So then you start for yourself becoming aware that where am I doing this? Seventh, eight is that don't make any decision when you're in bad mood, because they are never permanent. So you would have seen that our bad mood never continues for too long. Over some time we become, we come out of the bad mood. But if you make certain decisions, then you will regret in future. So the 8 is don't make any decision in good mood also, which means that, for example, one of the participants shared in another session that he was promoted and he was in such a joyous mood that he told everybody that let's go and party in Sheraton Hotel, and all the drink, everything is on the house. Now imagine the bill that he got was much bigger than the promotion hike that he got. So you have to be very careful when you're in good mood. Also, you should not be taking decision. Check yourself regularly. Is that twice in a day? Like I typically do it after lunch. So I sit for like 10 minutes and just see for myself how am I experiencing the emotions, how am I processing them into feeling. Yeah. So this will also help you to become more self-aware. And then last is response to the feedback given. So when you get a feedback, in general, we become very defensive. Now here we want to learn that whenever somebody is giving feedback, I think we should look at it more objectively and see what the decision are going to help us. So these are the thing on self-awareness. Then we'll move to self-management. Now, Jaya does yoga, so she knows the importance of breathing. So we should breathe right is we should breathe from our stomach and not from our chest. Because if you breathe right, then your prefrontal gets enough oxygen to take right decisions. And that's why reason I'm asking you to start doing exercise. Because when you do exercise, your brain gets more oxygen for you to become more rational in your thinking. Creating a list of situations where we did not connect with our limbic system and rational brain, but took the decision. Making your goals public, counting to 10, sleeping on it are very, very good example. Because, so for example, if say today, say Priya goes and tells her family that from today I'm going to possibly not react to situations X, Y, and Z. So the moment you make it public, people are also helping you to actually achieve that goal. Counting to 10, sleeping on it are very good practices. Talking to your EI leader, the leader we kind of wanted to write earlier, and you'll write it in journey. Because if you talk to your mentor, that can be very helpful. Smiling and laughing more, setting aside 15 minutes to reflect, visualizing yourself, cleaning up your sleep hygiene are very, very powerful things. So on the 7th point, I'm going to show you an experiment on the screen here. So if you can turn on your camera, and I can also show you. So in this experiment, there were two groups that were created, and one group was said to read a comic, and they had put the apparatus on the head to observe how much of happiness chemical is secreted. Okay, and then they made note of it. And then the same group they took and asked them to read the comic. And this time, only difference was they asked them to take the pen and put it inside like this and then read the comic. Now, the experiment showed that the happiness chemical that got secreted in the first experiment was much lesser than the second one and much faster, because when we are putting a pen like this physically, the physical part of the brain is getting moved inside, because when I'm smiling it's the same as I'm putting the pen. And when I'm smiling, the brain is actually physiologically secreting the chemical. And when the chemical happiness is secreted, you feel happy. Which means for you to make yourself happy, if you just smile, you will become happy over a period of few minutes. After the session, don't go out of your room just smiling too high. They'll think that first they were doing like this, now they are smiling without any reason. So that can become a problem for you. So, so if you see the laughing club in our society, right? Initially, you feel very odd. Without reason, these people are laughing. But after some time, you actually start laughing, because the physical movement of the lips in the laughing position is creating the chemicals in your brain. Yeah, which means you can actually make yourself happy whenever you want by doing that experiment. Yeah, which is so powerful. Yeah. Any thoughts on this interesting experiment?
Yeah, it's actually smile is it's infectious. So it really, if somebody is just crossing you and you just pass on a smile without even knowing a person, the other person smiles back. It's automatic. You don't have to create, or you don't have to initiate anything, but it's very normal.
Automatic, yes.
Automatic.
Yeah. So now we should try and practice this very often. Yeah. So very, very powerful. This book is very powerful to do, and visualize yourself is very similar, because they did the same experiment with the group, and they took them to a sunset point and they saw what is the activity in the brain. And when they did the same group and they came back and really did that in a room, the brain had the same activity, which means whatever you're visualizing is same as what you're seeing in reality. The brain doesn't understand the distinction, which means that if we visualize succeeding, we will succeed in our lives. Yeah, so that's the whole idea. Social awareness is essentially as we start building our relationship, as we start observing more and more people, can I also, like what Jaya said, that if I smile at somebody, they smile and there is a bill. So here are some very nice suggestion by Travis on how can you actually use this EI for social awareness. So greeting people by name. So since morning, when I say PS, when I say Jaya, when I say Vamshi, you don't feel we are meeting for the first time. It feels as if we have met in the before. So greeting people by name is very, very powerful. Watching their body language, if people are becoming more conscious about watching them, you can know from the body language that the other person is not in the same mood. Yeah, develop a back pocket question is not always talking about weather only, but talking very contextual to the person's life. So, for example, if I meet Jaya, I should maybe talk about admin. I should talk about the experiences. That becomes great for building the connection. I should talk about yoga. I should talk about whatever Jaya loves. A back pocket question is preparing a question that is related to the other party's life. That's back pocket question. Connecting with people and not like looking at screen is very common practice, but many a times, when we are talking to people, we keep looking at our mobile, keep chatting and say, boss, still tell me, tell me, tell me. But actually, in reality, that is a very dampener for social awareness. Yeah. Clearing your clutter in your mind, planning ahead of your meeting. So clutter means sometimes, we have a preconceived idea about certain people. Like, so if you look at Delhi, we think everybody in Delhi is very strong-headed, but that may be people who are not. So if I have the clutter in my mind, I will go with that preconceived idea about the person. So we should be careful about that. Living in the moment, not having the clutter, meeting your colleagues, learning EQ from movies. So AI can be learned from so any movies that you now recall about emotion intelligence that can be very helpful for AI.
Anand.
Very nice. Anand.
My favorite movie.
Yeah, very nice. Munna Bhai MBBS, Jadoo Ki Chappi, if you remember. Yeah, these are all very nice. Pursuit of Happiness. Yeah. Yeah. And then practice the art of listening, which is when you listen to people, you start knowing them about in deeply, what they are thinking, what is their thought process, where they are coming from. So you never get upset with anybody. And last is the piece, which is, relationship building, which is the last part. Everything that we learned so far, can I essentially build relationship by being open, being curious, tackling tough conversation, taking feedback, being genuine and natural. So we don't want to mimic anybody, but we want to be very natural in our conversation. Building trust, having an open door policy, which means that if you're a manager, keeping 15 minutes time every day where people can just walk in and ask anything that they want to ask can be very, very powerful EI practice, because many times people have their own concerns which they don't want to talk in a formal setup. But if you have an open door policy, you can really find it very useful. Acknowledging person's feeling, showing it when you care, because many times we are not very vocal about, when we care about somebody. But if you want to build relationship, that is something also you should think. Explain your decisions, don't just make them. So if like I had to in my career, many times ask people to go because the technology that they were equipped on are no longer the technology or the focus of our organization. So if I able to explain them the logic, that becomes very powerful in future. That they feel that I think they are valued. They don't feel that they are worthless in the world. So explaining a logic helps, and I think giving feedback also is a very nice concept. So these are all there in the book. So when you buy the book, I think you will find this very, very helpful. Yeah. So I think this pretty much brings us, to the last part of our program. I'm going to now possibly break you into 2 rooms, and you can have a 5 minutes conversation, 5 to 7 minutes. You can talk to your colleagues about the notes that you have made, what have you learned in the session, and then also come back and share 2 things that really stood out for you in the entire session. And we will need 1 Spock from your room to come and talk about only 2 things. So you might discuss 6 things or more things, in the room, but you should come back and share only 2 things that really stood out for you. Yeah. So I'm going to give you about 7 minutes to talk. So you will have, say, maybe 2 minutes each to talk and 1 minute to essentially, summarize. And then at the 8th minute, you will get 60 seconds to essentially, come back to this room. So before I open the room, any questions, anything that you want to ask me before you go?
Yeah, I want to ask.
Yeah, please.
When we were just thinking about this last segment, what you narrated so well, when
Yeah.
it comes to feedback, there have been episodes where always to give constructive feedback is difficult.
Yes.
Especially suppose multiple sessions are being held in a day and we get variety of students and teachers also sounds.
Yes.
So how exactly should we handle that situation where we tend to go on a neutral to negative side as well with constructive?
So, this is one skill that I think in general, you will always find it very tough to both deliver as well as the other party. So I would recommend, there is a very nice book called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. Radical Candor. RAD. In fact, Rajula, if you can type this in the chat. Rajula is also from our mentoring team and she'll work with Jaya to run this for you for next 1 month. So there's a nice book called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And you can also YouTube on her videos. There are a couple of nice videos that she has spoken on some conference. If you can use that book, I think it can give you a very nice framework. Yeah, and there is no very quick, easy answer for that because it takes a while. So originally it's RADICAL, Radical Candor. So you can look at this book, very nice for you to learn from that, and maybe in the WhatsApp group that we'll create, you can try and share your experiences, and Jaya and Rajula can also talk to internal content team and help you with that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. So now I'll open the room. You have got about 7 minutes, totally 8 minutes. So in 7 minutes, take 2 minutes to share what did you learn from the session, what stood out for you. And one of the person identified as a Spock who will come back and share with the entire group. So 7th minute, you will see one pop-up saying that the room will close in 1 minute. So that is where the Spock should summarize and keep the thing ready. Yeah. So enjoy your breakout room, and I'll see you in 7-8 minutes. Oh, Rajula is the Spock.
We made her.
Oh, okay. Hi, Rajula.
Hi, Yogesh.
Rajula.
Finally, they have made me the Spock.
Yeah, you're the anyway expert on this topic now. So. Yeah, Rajula, please share what.
Actually, I would say here, they basically they are concentrating on mostly emotional hygiene,
Yes.
Emotional hygiene, then the chronic loneliness.
Very nice.
Would I say that? I don't know whether I can say the name.
Should I? Perfect. No, yeah, why not?
Yeah, for example, for Balamarthi, what he said is he's understanding the limbic system. He wants to put that in practice, actually,
Yes.
And the psychological injuries too.
Yes.
He's interested and he's going to work on the emotional hygiene part.
Very nice. Lovely. Super. Very nice. Can we clap for room 1? Yeah.
And Amir, Amir too is working on the same emotional hygiene. So all are there for emotional hygiene.
Okay. Very nice.
And also chronic loneliness.
Okay. That's a common thing that you came across. Okay. Very nice.
Yes, chronic loneliness. Yeah, lonely.
Super. Very nice.
So hence he has to work on it. That is what he says. So,
Yes.
but Pratima, we were not clear. So I think Pratima can talk about, because it was not clear.
Yeah, I got a call and then I had to change the device. I lost a good amount of seconds there.
Okay.
My Bluetooth was working on both the devices. That was another physical mistake which I identified while working on emotional. So emotional hygiene, again, as we were iterating, I felt there's a lot of scope which I can build upon.
Sure.
And also in terms of how important is physical exercises. And
Yes.
The first part, what we were talking, because I missed 1 hour also in between.
Yes.
That's very pertinent for me, which I picked up, how important it is.
Yes.
To build the mind capacity.
Very
And
nice.
certainly the loneliness can be that that has physiological impact is another big learning for me today.
Very nice.
I have seen it more as emotional rather than physiological.
Sure. Perfect. Can we clap for Dr. Pratima? Very nice.
Thank you.
So let's go to room number 2. I think room number 2 had got Priya, Mayank, Jaya, and PS.
Right.
Yeah.
Spoke for this. So, for all 4 of us, probably yes, sir has this thing early understanding that self-awareness, and not only the part of self-awareness, but understanding of things as it is. I mean, taking it as it is quite very important for everybody, especially for me.
Yes.
Rather than processing it right and then and there is not a great idea versus
Yes.
taking a pause, processing it later, probably, and then further reacting to it is a good idea. And on the other side, observing the thing as it is also important. Probably it could be my understanding, it could be somebody else's action, but know that what is in your control, what is not in your control. What is there is mentioned on the point of physiologically and psychologically difference, and how we can slightly connect both of them to make it more easy to grow, is one part probably last that we got it in discussion. But probably I'll take one thing, not on this particular breakout session, that I find personally one thing which works for me most of the time, and I asked my wife to do the same when we had trouble. When the mood is not good, eat something, probably, because I understand that the chemical is not really helping us when we are in a bad mood, and there is no way we can change the mood by talking right away, right? Because we're in that sore state of mind.
Right.
Let's eat something, right? Part away, and eat something, and probably we'll connect again.
Right.
Mind will have the chemical changes.
Yeah.
Habit. I'm not saying as a habit, but taking something, whatever, but at least the mind should get some different chemicals.
Yes.
I don't know all those those. Now, I think my theory was right.
Right. Very nice. Brilliant. Absolutely. Super. So can we clap for this room 2 also? Very nice. Yeah. So good. So much. I think thanks for the super active participation. And we come to the last part, which is a very quick feedback about the session, which we always do for every session, whether it is a pro bono session or a paid session. And I think Rajula and Jaya will work with all of you. We'll create a WhatsApp group for next 30 days, and we'll be sending some post, and you can respond to the post, read through the post, ask Jay and Rajula if you have any questions, any queries. Yeah. So I've sent you the link on the chat window. So if you can just click on that and give your feedback. Yeah. I think that I agree with you. I think सही बोल रहे हो आप, मतलब पता नहीं चला कि 1 बज कैसे बच गया actually. Yeah, Mayank.
before I forget this question, because I had this question like an hour before. Don't take me in a negative sense, okay, please. This is very fundamental concept what you are just mentioned to us, right? Like a foundation of our brain.
Right.
And personal development.
Yes, yes, yes.
In the industry and this in this training mentorship program for quite some long time. For you as a individual, how do you take this? Talking about fundamentals in probably almost every week or probably every month on the same sessions.
Yeah.
What enhancement do you see in that case? Because it remains same for so many years and still gonna remain same the human mind, right?
Yes.
How do you see it changing in your practice for
Yes.
few years?
So, so what happens, Mayank, is that while this looks to be the same session, but what keeps us going is the kind of changes people share with us back, saying that how for them it has changed. And our job here is not to really run a business as such. Business is there, like there are 30 of us in the organization, there is salaries to be paid, there are employees, but then the whole purpose is helping the humanity at large. So a lot of our work is essentially to, and while it may sound, quite easy now, but if you look at reality, a lot of people really struggle to manage this. There is so much of issue between the family members, between the colleagues at work. There is so much of general stress. So for us, it is always fun to see the transformations, fun to see the conversation, and we enjoy doing that. That's our and this is a space that is not generally, I mean, you will see a lot of trainers just covering the content, but they are not so passionate about how they cover the whole aspect. And at Crossover, I think we have really paid a lot of attention to really connecting to each and individual and make a difference. So we enjoy that. Even if it is today's 327th session, for me, it is still like the first few sessions that I took. It's so much of satisfaction every time we do the session, because it also helps us. Like a lot of people think that hum log ka life to would have been really sorted because we understand this so in and out, but that's not the case. Every time when we do a session, there is something that helps us also get better, something that we may have been struggling with ourselves. So it's a nice experience every time that we done. कुछ ना कुछ हमको भी सीखने मिलता है. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And these also are to also run business in the sense, you may like, so you may say that, chalo, sir, ye Nutanix mein can we do it for a lot of our project manager? They might get benefited. So you will connect us to your L&D head. And that is how we have grown in last 7 years. We have got 200 plus clients. So we generally don't do too much of marketing. We, generally get a lot of referrals. So word of mouth. So you will go and tell maybe some people, yeah, ye acha program tha. So can you contact Crossover? So that's how we keep getting. Like I met PS here today, Otherwise, I would never have met in that, like right next lane he lives. Yeah, and it's a very complimentary work. He does project manager's work, and I do leadership behavior. We can possibly collaborate. Work like I could introduce him to this boy for his help. Sagar ko mila denge. Sagar is such a fantastic coach. We've been with us for like last 5 years. And he also like us. He doesn't really bring in like commercial element is there, but it is not a starting point. Starting point is to first help the person, then we'll figure out. And for us, luckily, we never had this problem of not having enough work. There's so much of work all the time.
My only point was that me being on the technical, I find very interesting. I find very, very passionate when I speak in front of customer and tell how my solution will work for you and in your business sense. And then they finally, after some time, they agree, it makes sense, let's go for further sale and all that, right? So I see for your case, your passion is actually towards the person who are the clients who have the struggle and get them out of that situation or this, mindset is really satisfying, I guess.
Yes.
You know, I think we have a similarity in terms of
Yes, yes,
knowing what is
absolutely.
right what
Absolutely.
other
And since I come from technology background, I feel that explaining technology is much easier than changing human beings because technology is fairly standard, you know, like something that works in America works in India from a technology coding point of view. But humanity is different. A person who is brought up in Nalagondla is so different than somebody in Chennai and somebody in Delhi. So for us, the challenge is to really understand the person's background and then come up with something that that person will relate to. With adults, a human being, like even if a small child of 8 months, if you feed him continuously, he will start vomiting. He will not take unless he wants. Human beings are like this. He will not take unless you connected with me. So the ability to connect with the person is a skill that we develop in our whole process. Yeah. But as Jaya said, I think it's a very fantastic group that we had. I think good conversation, 3.5 hours of connecting. So we'll create the WhatsApp group and Sakshi will add all of you to that for next 30 days. And then we'll dismantle the group. But you can ask and keep practicing whatever you have learned today. Do share with as many people. The workbook has got everything that I explained today. There is no slide that is not there, no information, almost everything that is required for you to explain anybody. So today, and you remember, you have to, after the class, buy all the sneaker shoes, Nike walking gear, 25,000 rupees material.
I already have. So I'm not going to buy.
Yeah. For others who don't have, or if you go with Jaya, then at least buy one mat.
Yeah, that is very important.
Which is good for you to exercise. But you have to buy something today so that you exercise from tomorrow.
In fact, Yogesh, I wanted to suggest, a small breathing session, yoga pranayam session for everyone, if it is,
Why not? Why not? So once we talk to Naveen, and I think we should initiate this. P.S. You also should tell Naveen that we should once in a month have one session for all the speakers.
We can do that.
And people can keep attending. So yeah, and like people like Jaya who is offering, we'll find more people offering some of the other thing. So like the first Saturday of the month is a TGV hour or something like that. We can do 90 minutes. We can do. I love to do half a day at least so that everything can get covered nicely. Yeah. So good. You guys are not showing any signs of signing off, but I think we are at 4:00.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are good to close the session for today, and then we'll be in touch over WhatsApp. And PS, we are here. So
Yeah. We should
come over. We'll meet up sometime. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Feedback is submitted. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Yogesh.
Bye.
Bye, Yogesh.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.